Hey guys, welcome back to another video. And today I want to talk a little bit about the database. Now before I get started, I want to preface this video by saying I am not an employee of Robert Space Industries and I'm not an employee of Cloud Imperium Games. I am also not a database engineer or database administrator. I am just a gamer. And everything that you're about to see are just kind of theory crafting. Okay, this is a theory crafting YouTube channel, so it's what we do here. It's part of the course. Now with all that out of the way, let's get into kind of what I think is going on, and that's basically what this is just what I think is going on. Okay, based on what I've seen CIG talk about and kind of what they're trying to do to solve the issues that they've been having. Okay, so right off the back, a lot of people are talking about the wipe. Why is CIG doing two wipes for 318.1 and 318.2? okay, and the second question a lot of people is asking is, why don't they just migrate the data? And this is something they can do. They have the ability to migrate the data from one library to the next. A good example of this is the Scarecrow mask and the Van Duel mask in-game event. Players went out and they got this item in-game, and CIG later accredited those items to their account. So in my opinion, the data is not the problem. The problem is the database scheme. Okay, so let me elaborate that a little bit. So right here on the screen is kind of my rudimentary, napkin math kind of assumption of what the database scheme looks like. So to kind of break this down, there are two separate things happening here. There is the there are data libraries, and then there are databases. Okay, a data library is just a location that data lives on. Okay, a database is kind of the scheme of how does the client access that data on the data library. Okay, so that's basically what you're seeing here, and a database is made up of two parts. Okay, the database scheme that has all the data libraries on it, including services, even devices, and then the front end. And the front end is basically the code that the client or an administrator uses to access the database. Okay, so what you're seeing here in this illustration is kind of just a visualization of what I think is going on. Okay, so on this side you have the game server, on this side you have the client and the front end, and right here in the middle, the main part, this is the meat and potatoes of the database. This has all of the data libraries on them. Okay, things like your player character, player ships, in-game items, system info, account items, friend list, reputation, and a couple of services. Okay, this is not an uncommon kind of visualization for a database. And all these lines that you see connecting here, those are relationships. So when you make a database, the data libraries are connected by various relationships. They basically say, okay, if the client is trying to access data, the relationships will essentially say, go here to find this. So you can think of these relationships kind of like highways for the data. Okay, this is how the database knows where to find what. Okay, so when you have all these different libraries that the database has to get information from, and you have all of these relationships, what's happening here in this picture? Well, right here on the procurement details, this is what would be considered entitlements. And this is basically your stuff. So right here I have this set as procurement details. This is essentially like a gate where there's some kind of service that gets all the data from the database. And what I've kind of illustrated here is that there is a bottleneck right here, okay, at your entitlements. So it's kind of like an explanation for why you have that entitlement error. Basically what's happening is that there's too much information transferring on these data highways, and they hit this this bottleneck here, and the client cannot fetch the entitlements from the database, and you get the error and you can't log in. So what CIG is trying to do is to change that a little bit. So basically what they're trying to do is say, okay, let's go and get rid of in-game items. Okay, let's get rid of reputation. Okay, let's get rid of your player ships. And a good example of this is the new player ship technology, where when you enter the game, your ships aren't automatically at your home location. You have to call them wherever you are. Why is this a solution? Well, it kind of alleviates all the data that needs to be cleared through the entitlement process. You can kind of circumvent that situation, reducing the amount of data going through that bottleneck, and you can get in the game server. So with these three things removed, you only have a couple of things left, and that data can get through the bottleneck and clear the entitlement stage, and you can get into the server. Okay, and once you're in the server, the game server is reading and writing to the database all the time, and that's easy. It's kind of like trying to start your car in 6th gear. It's too much torque, you can't do it. But once your car is moving, it's a lot easier. So once you're in the game server, it's a lot easier for the game server to read and write to the database than to try to fetch all this information at one time just to get you in. Okay, so the next thing is how CIG has been trying to alleviate this bottleneck, and this is why I think this bottleneck is the issue. Okay, so what CIG has been doing in the PTU is they have been turning on and off services. So basically that is the exact same thing. You get rid of service, you get rid of service, and what that does is it helps you find out which of these relationships are inefficient. Okay, so by turning off service 1, you can test and see how efficient that relationship is. Okay, that relationship is not efficient. We could relocate it somewhere else, and that will alleviate this bottleneck a little bit. Okay, so that's kind of the idea why they're turning on and off different services. In my opinion, it could be a reason. Again, I don't know for sure. I don't know what CIG's database actually looks like. Okay, and again, I'm not an expert with database engineering, but based on what I've heard, is happening, what CIG is trying to do, it seems like that's the issue. Okay, so why 2 wipes? Well, until this bottleneck is freed up, they have to basically get rid of your in-game items and your player ships. Getting rid of more stuff is kind of the only way to ensure players can get in. So basically there needs to be a wipe until they fix the bottleneck. So the changes that they're making, in my opinion, I think are to services like player ships. Like 318.1 it is coming with the new ASOP terminals, where your ship needs to be called wherever you are. So that's kind of step one. 318.2 changes up a couple of different services, okay? But you still need to wipe your in-game items to make sure that it's the database is clear enough to get through that bottleneck. Once this bottleneck is widened and they figure out where the inefficient relationships are, then they won't need to do a wipe. So realistically, there is a possibility that 319 might have another wipe. Again, it all depends on when CIG, makes an announcement that everything is all clear and they've kind of figured it out. But for now, yes, wipes are going to be a part of the solution to this issue. But I know 318.1 is out now. A lot of people are testing out. A lot of people are trying to get in. Based on what I've seen and heard on Reddit and Spectrum, there are still people who can't get in. So it means that more evidence, in my opinion, to the idea that the bottleneck hasn't been cleared up. But let me know what you guys think. Are you an actual database engineer? Is everything I'm saying dead wrong? I want to hear what you have to say. Again, I didn't Google anything from this. This is just kind of off the cuff video I decided to make. So yeah, I'd love to hear what you guys think. Let me know in the comments down below. You guys are awesome. You guys have been killing it on the videos lately, and I cannot thank you enough for all the support you guys have been giving me over the past couple of weeks, over this past year actually. I really appreciate it. So yeah, if you guys like this video, hit like. If you want to see more videos like it, hit subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Salute.